Hi, welcome to Lil Unfiltered. My channel does not delve into one specific topic. I'll tell you stories from my life, things I may have learned, things I'm experiencing as I slow travel the world. I will share some of my travels. I haven't done that yet, but I will. And I might talk about political things that are going on. And today I'm going to do that. Now, this is in relation to people who are thinking about moving abroad or who currently live abroad or are expats who are retired abroad. And this is something that I wasn't aware of, but I am slow traveling. I'm not living in another country at this point in time or, seeking residency at this point in time. But it was something I'm not aware of. And I have a feeling that a lot of other people may not be aware of it as well. So just in case, I'm going to talk today about FATCA and FBAR. That's FATCA and FBAR. If you don't know what that is, stay tuned. And I wrote down some notes so I could bring it to you so it makes sense. I did ask ChatGPT, but then I kind of put it down to where it makes sense for someone who may not fully understand it, like I didn't. Okay, so I know that most Americans think about you dream about moving abroad or you're living abroad currently and you think about the adventure and the beaches and all the beautiful sights and maybe a cheaper cost of living, hopefully, right? And a little more freedom from the chaos back at home in the United States. And I'm talking from someone who is coming from the United States. I'll clarify that clearly. And US citizens, okay? So, but here's the truth. If you're a US citizen, you carry the IRS with you like an invisible backpack. And I know most of you are aware of that already, but that backpack has a name and it is FATCA and FBAR. So I'm aware, that, and I'm sure most of you are, that we still have to pay taxes as long as we're a US citizen. Even if we're living abroad, unfortunately, we still have to pay taxes. But this goes a little further than that. So those two acronyms could cost you your entire life savings if you didn't know they existed. I didn't know, as I said. Most expats probably don't know. I hope they do, but maybe they don't. But that ignorance, if you don't know, isn't an excuse the US government accepts, of course. So let's break it down. You already know the US is obsessed with taxes, but here's what makes America different. Almost every country on earth only taxes you if you actually live in their country. Makes sense, right? But not the United States. Also North Korea, but they really don't leave, do they? And what's the other country? The US is only one of two other countries in the world that taxes you based on your citizenship. The other one, and I hope I don't butcher the name, but it's Eritrea, Eritrea, and that's a tiny country in East Africa. So yes, America keeps company with a dictatorship when it comes to tax laws. That means if you were born in the US or you have a US passport, you're expected to file and report every single year, even if you haven't lived in these states for decades, even if you're paying full taxes where you actually live. And hopefully you're in a place where you don't have to do that. But that's just the beginning. So FBAR is the old law that almost no one knows about. I didn't know about it. So if I do decide to settle somewhere else, I'll thankfully be aware. Back in 1970, Congress passed the Bank Secrecy Act. And out of that came something called the FBAR, and that's the Foreign Bank Account Report. Now, it sounds innocent enough, right? But here's what it really means for you, me, and every American abroad. If you have foreign bank accounts that add up to more than 10,000 total at any point in a year, even if it's just for one single day, you're required to file an FBAR. It doesn't matter if that's your savings account, your retirement account, a business account, or even a joint account with your spouse or child. If your name's on it, it counts. And the kicker, the filing doesn't even go to the IRS. It goes to the US Treasury Department's Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, or FinCEN. I'd never heard of that either before. Have you? Yes, the same people who track money laundering and drug cartels. So let me ask you this. How many ordinary Americans moving to Spain or Thailand even realize that by opening a local checking account, you could be seen as financial criminals by your own government? Here's the part that will make your jaw drop, and that's the penalties. If you forget to file an FBAR, even if it's a mistake, or or you weren't aware, the penalty is $10,000 per account per year. You may not have known about this for years. That adds up. If they decide you did it willfully, as in you knew and you didn't do it, the fine can be 50% of the account balance. Yes, you heard that right. They can literally take half your money. And people have lost their entire nest eggs over this. Not because they're hiding millions in Switzerland, but because they just didn't know the form existed, which is why I'm bringing this to you today. And the newer beast is FATCA. So fast forward to 2010. After the financial crisis, Congress passed something called the Foreign Act Tax Compliance Act, or FATCA. And FATCA turned the screws even tighter. So here's what FATCA does. It requires U.S. citizens with foreign assets above certain thresholds to report them on a form called Form 8938, filed with your tax return. More importantly, it forces foreign banks themselves to report American account holders directly to the IRS. So you can't hide. I wouldn't advise that. Yes, your bank in France, your credit union in Mexico, your savings account in Romania, they may already be sending your information straight to Washington. And if they don't comply, they face heavy penalties when dealing with U.S. financial systems. So what do a lot of foreign banks do instead? They just refuse to take American customers. So that's something else to be aware of if you want to open an account or need to get residency. It's not as simple as you might think. They may not give you an account. So they may just refuse to take American customers. That's why you'll hear so many expats say, I couldn't even open a bank account because of my US passport. That's how toxic FATCA has made Americans abroad. Now you might be thinking, okay, but if I open a little account in Thailand, how would the US even know? Here's the answer. FBAR requires you to report. FATCA requires your bank to report. So that's a 1-2 punch. The IRS gets your information from both ends. If you don't file your FBAR, but your bank reports your account under FATCA, you're flagged. And let's be real, the US government is broke and always looking for revenue. Expats are an easy target. They know many don't file, and the penalties are enormous. It's a goldmine. The expat trap. Most Americans abroad honestly think, I pay taxes in my new country, so I'm good. Wrong. Even if you pay full taxes in Spain or Thailand or Georgia, the country of Georgia, you still have to file US taxes every year. You might not owe money, thanks to things like foreign earned income exclusion or tax treaties, but filing is not optional. And FBAR and FATCA are separate layers on top of that. Even if you owe zero tax to the US, you can still face life-destroying penalties just for missing a form. Don't let that happen to you. Let me repeat that. You can owe nothing, but still lose everything simply because you didn't file. So what do some people do? They say, forget it, I'll just renounce. The US doesn't make that easy either. The fee just to renounce your citizenship is $2,350, and that's one of the highest in the world, of course. Before you renounce, you must be tax compliant for the past 5 years. So if you missed FBARs, you'll have to go back and fix them. And if your net worth is above $2 million or your recent tax bills were high, you could face an exit tax, basically a final capital gains tax on your worldwide assets. And once you renounce, you can't just waltz back to live in the US without a visa. You've given up the right to live and work there permanently. Now let's clear up one big fear. Renouncing does not take away your social security. I thought it did, but it does not. If you worked enough years, you earned it. You can still collect it abroad, but depending on where you live, the US may withhold a percentage for taxes before sending it to you. And some countries don't allow direct deposit, so you might face extra hurdles. And I also know, that's interesting about the direct deposit, because I know we're headed toward a society where I know they're wanting to end checking checkbooks, writing checks, that kind of thing. They want it all to be, over the internet, basically. Anyway, I digress. So the big picture, here's what all this means. Being an American abroad comes with invisible chains. You're part of a system that assumes guilt first and compliance second. And the sad truth, most Americans don't find out until they've already moved, after they've already opened a bank account or retired abroad, and then it's too late. And let's be honest, the goal of freedom is to live on your terms. What kind of freedom is that when your home country follows you everywhere you go, threatening you with 10,000 plus fines for paperwork you didn't even know existed? So why am I telling you this? Because I didn't know it myself, and I may be seeking residency in a foreign country soon. Right now, I'm still just traveling, slow traveling, 1 month to 2 months to 3 months at a time in different countries. But if I find a place where I want to seek residency, this is important to know. And I will have wished that somebody had told me if I didn't know this. So I'm not giving you tax advice. I'm giving you the unfiltered truth. And if you're thinking of living abroad, you need to know that FATCA and FBAR are real, the penalties are real, and the government will find you. So do your homework, talk to professionals, and understand the cost of keeping or giving up that blue passport. And it is my understanding, it depends on the country, but it's my understanding that it's not too hard to find a tax professional in another country that understands that paperwork and help you with filling it out properly, and adding it to your tax return. Because I know some people still have their taxes done by US people, and they should know that as well. But do your homework and talk to professionals. Understand the cost of keeping or giving up that blue passport, as I just said. The dream of living abroad is still possible, but you need to go in with your eyes wide open, because ignoring this stuff could cost you everything. And that, my friends, is the side of expat life that not too many people are talking about. So I hope this helped you. And please leave your comments below. Tell me, did you know about this? And also, please share in your comments if you're currently living abroad or looking to live abroad. What is your country of choice and why? Thanks. I'll see you next time.